All right, let's talk about some winners and some losers over the course of NWSL weekend. Let's start with San Diego Wave FC versus Kansas City Current. Lisa, when we were previewing this, when we were like joking around, we were like, what are we going to call this matchup? Is it going to be like the water rivalry, like the splash, the splash like cup? Like what are we going to be calling this? But we were taking a look at the Current and the Wave in this one. And let's remind everybody of our picks before we start going into the nitty gritty of this match.
We both picked Kansas City in this one. I said it, San Diego, they were done at the top of the standings, and we were both correct on this one. One of the few we were correct with.
One of the few. We'll take it. Listen, we got to take him where we can get him. I loved this match, and I think if I recall correctly in making the pick and talking a little bit about this matchup specifically, I said getting a chance to watch San Diego in person at Soldier Field against the Chicago Red Stars in the previous week, I felt that we're starting to see some cracks in San Diego's overall shape, that was a game that if the Red Stars break through and actually get a point or get that breakthrough and get a goal, that people are talking about that a little bit more. And maybe they're not talking about that a week ago, but they're definitely talking about it now. We're looking at a team that was missing Abby Dahlkemper, having to make adjustments on that back line. And we saw perhaps that blueprint from a week ago leading into this week, maybe some of those cracks in the defensive line. We've got this one shaking out to a win for Kansas City, 2-1. Goals from Kaiser, goals from Mace, and a little bit of a consolation goal thanks to Amira Ali, who knows, maybe if she would have gotten the start, maybe if she would have been utilized earlier, could have caused some problems. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't. It's something to talk about, with this San Diego Wave seed as Casey Stoney was sort of prepping for this type of match. I think it goes in line with what we were talking a little bit during the preview, when we're looking at first half versus bottom half of the table, how incredibly compact that upper half of the table is, that we're sort of entering a phase of the season where I really truly do believe that anyone from 1 through 6 can beat each other on any given day. That's what I love about this league so much. And we saw it happen in this one with Kansas City picking up the win.
We knew that this was going to be a big matchup between these two sides. As you mentioned, a little bit of rotation in the back line for Casey Stoney's side, with Real stepping in for Dahlkemper, who was out on a red card suspension. And that's really how Kansas City capitalized in this game, and this defensive breakdowns that San Diego Wave suffered. The opening goal coming in the 27th minute by CC Kaiser. And then 12 minutes later, Haley Mace getting on the board and doubling the lead for Kansas City. And that goal, definitely a defensive breakdown. Mace had so much time and space. She didn't even know what to do with it, just dribbling towards the top of the box. She gets right to the top and she's got the space. She rips a shot. It even could have been 3 goals for Kansas City. There was a penalty kick called around the 70th minute. Lola Bonta steps up to take it, but you're going against Kaylin Sheridan here. Olympian, gold medal winner. That was her 8th career penalty kick save. She now leads the NWSL in saves on PKs with 8. Fantastic. I mean, Sheridan is so good. When we look at this side, AD Franch in goal was also incredibly good. Kaylin Sheridan, 4 saves on the night against this Kansas City side that just put so much pressure on San Diego's backline. And you said it, a consolation goal towards the end of this match for Amira Ali as she subs into this game. There are so many moments for San Diego where they had these bursts of good energy, and we saw really good combination play. You look at a player like Van Egmond, who has really stepped into that central midfield role. But in terms of influential players getting on the ball, Alex Morgan was not on the ball enough. Taylor Korniak was not on the ball enough. Belle Breedy, not on the ball enough. Those players are the ones you want on the ball, dictating the tempo and the creativity for San Diego, and they did not do it. On the other side of it, Kansas City Cece Kaiser has found her home with this KC side. And what she's been able to do, picking up points. Haley Mace is growing in confidence. We had Edmonds back, Alex Luera back for Matt Potter, which gave him stability defensively that he hasn't had consistently in the past month or so. So getting those pieces back in this match against San Diego is coming at the perfect time for this Kansas City current side, because now as we continue to move forward, Kansas City jumps the standings. They're in 5th place now. They're on this incredible 9-game unbeaten streak. They're just racking up these points where other teams are having a lot of trouble doing it. This game was fantastic too, from start to end. And San Diego is now down to 2nd place for the first time since week 3. They are not at the top of the standings.
Look, you should gloat a little bit. You called it more than anything, along with like choosing Kansas City. It's both, going with the current in this one. You put something else on it. You said San Diego's going to get knocked off. On top of that, from the top, they're not going to end out this weekend at number 1. But I think more than anything, you've got this Kansas City side that gets another win, extends their win streak to 9. That's incredibly difficult to do, I think, at this point in the season. We'll see if they can extend it to 10. We saw Chicago have their undefeated streak snapped at 9. It's a tough order to sort of continue that type of form going in this league. But I loved it watching this game between.
And
they go
to play North Carolina next, so.
I love it. I think these are the type of matches I think that we're watching with that additional lens, right? Where we're just like, hey, is this going to be like some type of playoff preview? Like, what's the energy, in this match between these two sides? But I also loved watching somebody like Elise Bennett, get into this match and kind of create an impact, which is something that we've been seeing out of this rookie for Kansas City during this season. And I think that's what I really like watching this Kansas City side, is that I don't know if a lot of people could look at Kansas City at certain points and say like, oh, this is a team that is maybe perhaps one of the deeper teams in the league. I think a lot of people maybe look at a roster like the Thorns and maybe kind of give that to them. But I think looking at Kansas City, I think you can also, sort of look at them and maybe kind of question and put them in that category as well. I think they've got a really good mix of experienced players, young players who are hungry and stepping in to roles and being able to pick up these results. I mean, looking at the fact that this team lost, a Lynn Williams at the beginning of the season, and the current confirming that they will not have Sam Mewis during this year, placing her on the season-ending injury. Just a very complicated knee injury is I believe is some of the verbiage that was coming out of that press release. But not going to have this player either. And these were 2 players that they signed in the offseason, and that was sort of what got people's attention. They say, oh, Kansas City is out here making some moves, and here they are playing the kind of soccer that they're playing week in and week out, and they're doing it without those 2 kind of star caliber players, and they're able to do it because they've got players like Haley Mace, because they've got somebody like Lola Bonta leading this team in shots on goal, chances created in this game against San Diego. And quite frankly, Labonta is among the top 5 players in multiple categories outside of just those offensive stats. You're talking like completed passes into the final third, cross attempts, dribbles, recoveries. Labonta's in the top 5 of those players in those categories as well. And then making a move for somebody like Kaiser, like you said, it's just sort of kind of the wind is blowing in the direction of the Kansas City Current, and I'm here for it. And it's part of why we chose them to hand San Diego this loss.
It definitely is why we chose them. It's of the teams to do it against San Diego, it was Kansas City for sure. This is a really fun team. Keep an eye on them for sure.
Absolutely. Let's talk about another one. We got Chicago Red Stars versus Gotham FC. This one ending 2-0 for Chicago Red Stars in the victory over Gotham. Goals from Tatum Milazzo, Ava Cook. Talking about young players making an impact. Milazzo, second year with the Red Stars. Cook, rookie year, perhaps maybe similar trends here with a team like Chicago, maybe something about those kind of central teams, something about those kind of Midwest teams, just kind of having the mix of the experience and the young players here kind of producing the results. But remind me, Lisa, I think we both had Chicago in this
We
one.
both had Chicago getting the win, so we were both correct. We're back to back correct on these two, with Kansas City and now Chicago. Chicago's very good, and Gotham is struggling. Like, this is like my 50,000-foot view.
Yeah.
Gotham just, they can't. They're focusing so much on defensive and not getting forward. Every time they get the ball, they're just looking to pass it back and keep possession, and they never are trying to catch their opponents off guard or move quickly in transition. They're not playing to any of the strengths that they have in the offensive side of the game with the ball. They're too timid. They're too scared, and that is not going to get you very far in this NWSL league. You have to be a team that's willing to take risks, attack your opponents, go at them, use the strengths you have, maybe expose yourself in the back a little bit, but in doing that, you'll be able to score a little bit more goals, have more creativity and a little bit more fluidity and freedom for the Gotham forwards. And it's just not there. This game was all Chicago. When you look at the shot total, 15 shots to Chicago, only 4 to Gotham. I mean, player personnel, we saw Sarah Lubert get 3 shots. We saw Mallory Pugh get 3 shots. Ava Cook, 4 shots. And then a number of other players registering shots as well. So the balance in the attack for Chicago is completely there. Mallory Pugh, not on the score sheet for this match, but huge influence in this game and setting up play and driving at defenders. And if anything, drawing defenders to her, which opens up the space around her for players like Cook and Nagasato and Bianca St. George, who's back in the rotation now after international duty. This game was great for Chicago.
Painful for Gotham, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, very painful for Gotham towards this one, but not that surprising, right? We both picked Chicago in this one.
Yeah.
We both
maybe that's an old take at this point, right? And it's an old take at this point in the season where you're just kind of like, oh, like Gotham is struggling. And like it's like, okay, well, welcome to the NWSL this year. Like we're like, it's not necessarily like a new take. And we did go 2 for 2 in this one. We both went Chicago. I mean, and also considering the fact that they had, a different, like, kind of lopsided win against Gotham not too long ago, away on the road at their home facility. But something else in the preview that I think we weren't prepared for, but, it ultimately shook out that we were correct in the picks anyhow, was that they had a massive availability report come out where a number of players out under either COVID protocol or general illness or, excused absence, which those are always approved like ahead of time. So it's just like you just had several players just not around, to be able to sort of come in and perhaps maybe put up a different looking performance, against the Red Stars. It was just tough weather match as well. It's August, Chicago, so it's a little bit of a different heat out here at times, and perhaps that may be, coming into play for some personnel on the pitch, but just never really looked as if Chicago was not, in control of this game, quite frankly, from minute 1 all the way through to, stoppage time of regulation. It just didn't look like there was ever really a moment where the Red Stars were going to lose control of the game or allow Gotham back into it, quite frankly.
No shots on goal for Gotham.
Yeah, you're not, unless you got Alyssa Nair and net, and just not, never really challenged by anything, dangerous or otherwise, total shots, even without expanding that to total shots versus shots on target. So none on target, but even total shots, you've got Chicago with 15 to 4. So you just really sort of get to sort of see the disparity in terms of the two very different teams going head to head in this one. I do wonder Chicago, maybe if they're looking for things, because that's what happens when you're talking to like pro teams and pro athletes. Maybe it's like you get the win, it's 2-0, but I do wonder if there's a moment for some of the personnel on Chicago where they're like, God, like we could have had more. Like, why did we only end this game to 2-0? You're talking about Pugh a little bit having some good looks, and though not getting the goals, getting that assist on the Cook goal, and both of these coming off of headers, you know what I mean, like headed goals, and kind of from some interesting angles here. So it was great to sort of, again, talking about things that made me like warm and cozy, and an airport away from home. It was nice to see my local side go out there and get back in the win column, quite frankly, because the Red Stars were on a little bit of a skid of their own. So this is helpful for them, I think, in terms of their place in the standings at the moment. But just not a lot of there for Gotham in this one. Lisa, you got any final takes out of this game before we wrap it up with the final game?
I don't. I mean, Chicago back on the winning side of it, as you said, coming off of 2 losses and a tie. Now they're back in this win column, and for Gotham, 3 losses in a row. They got to turn around. They got to lock it up. They've got to be more, expose themselves a little bit, be more creative, have a little bit more freedom in their attacking end, and then we'll see where that goes from there. We'll talk about it.
All right, yeah, we will have to do a preview episode eventually and take a look ahead. But let's close it out with the final game to recap here. We've got OL Reign versus Houston Dash. The Dash, winner in this one. OL Reign, the loser side of this game. You've got Ebony Salmon continuing her rise into the conversation of second half Golden Boot contenders. Megan Rapinoe also getting the goal for OL Reign here, but let's talk about it. Who did we pick, Lisa?
You get to gloat now because you picked Houston Dash getting the win over OL Reign, handing them their very first loss at Lumen Field. This was huge. I had a draw in this match. I thought it was going to be tight, but I thought it would be a draw at the end of it. So congratulations, my friend.
Listen, we were doing the preview, and I was still at the conference in Vegas, and I said, I'm not going with draws. I'm only picking winners. And I was half correct, at least on some of these games. But I am happy that I went with the Dash in this one, and they sort of, pulled it off and ended up getting the win. I just, I said in the preview in these two teams going head to head that, in 2022, the Houston Dash are not a team that's afraid of going on the road and picking up and getting a result, or playing away in, facilities that will very clearly kind of give them a disadvantage, whether it was a place like Providence Park where they got the result against Portland, or now against OL Reign, at Lumen Field. So I do wonder, I think, we can talk about, the winners and what they did correctly, and how they're continuing to sort of, build their sort of trending up. It's sort of continuing those waves of momentum that they're putting together kind of week in and week out. And Houston Dash is one of those teams for sure. Obviously, I think maybe there's, the argument to be made that, is Ebony Salmon the best pickup during this, this summer trade window? I don't know. I think maybe we're looking head to head, maybe at somebody like a Kaiser versus Salmon for that one, for Kansas City and Houston. But I think when we're looking at what Ebony Salmon has been doing for the Dash, I think it's remarkable. I please check me on this, because I know you've got the numbers there. But for Salmon exiting this game, it's 6 goals in like 4 games. Am I getting like 3 games?
No, you're not giving her enough credit. 6 goals in 3 games for Ebony Salmon.
Thank you. Zero disrespect. Like, I love that. I'm like, this is, pay attention, right? This is one of these things. And
I think just because you brought up CC Kaiser, and now you're having me do a little bit of stat checking for CC Kaiser, she has 4 goals in 6 games. So
see, I'm like, the 4 and the 6 were floating in my head. So they're doing this, and they're doing it without their captain. They're doing it without Rachel Daly. And they're going to get her back, and that's going to just be in addition to the team. And I just am like, Houston Dash are putting some really good things together here. But when we're looking at the other side of things, Lisa, when we're looking at the loser side of things for OL Reign, again, another one of these games where I think we're were watching it, and I had this feeling, during the Pride and Angel City game, looking at this game, I had the same feeling. I was like, oh gosh, I'm like, is this game going to end a certain kind of way? Which I didn't blame you for. I was like, this might end in the draw, which is, I remember you saying like, this might go that way. But I had that feeling. I was just like, oh no, I was like, you've got OL Reign at home, motivated by that, obviously, and then getting on the board somewhat early, kind of opening 15-ish minutes. And it's the two vets linking up, Kim Little to Megan Rapinoe, but complete second half surge for the Dash here to pull off the win.
Complete second half surge. Megan Rapinoe, she gets her first goal, the 16th minute. And you mentioned Kim Little. She's gets the assist on this one. And this was Kim Little's last game with OL Reign. The loan for her was signed June 1st is when she joined, and it said it was going to run until Arsenal started their 2022-2023 season. This was it for Kim Little. She's headed back to Arsenal. Her time with OL Reign is done, and definitely a player that brought a surge for OL Reign and contributing in that attack. And maybe that's why we saw so many minutes from Kim Little. And now Laura Harvey will start to lean into Tobin Heath a little bit more, knowing that she only had Little for a small period of time. Now, could we see some changes with OL Reign throughout the rest of this regular season? Perhaps. But the second half, as you said it, Houston, it was all Houston. Houston registered 0 shots in the first 45 minutes. In the second 45 minutes, they had 2 goals in the span of 3 minutes. Both of them by Ebony Salmon as well. And one of them, a PK in the 53rd minute, and then the 55th minute, she gets on the board again. She can score in such a variety of ways. And the way Houston was controlling possession, controlling the game and the tempo throughout the second half was, I think it surprised Laura Harvey's side and OL Reign in what they were able to do, because we didn't see that consistently from Houston throughout the first half, but they capitalized on it on the penalty kick. It was a moment of weakness for OL Reign. Salmon puts it away, slots it right past Tullis Joyce, and then gets another one just a few minutes later to set the tone and kind of dig it in a little bit to OL Reign, because to do that at Lumen, incredible. It's the first time Houston's done that. It's the first time they've lost at Lumen. OL Reign has lost at Lumen this year. This game was a good way to watch this game while there was a few others happening. This was the Sunday 6:00 Eastern game, the same time Chicago Gotham was on. It was a lot of multiple screens for us.
No Sunday scaries for some of these teams going head to head on Sunday, especially not for Ebony Salmon. Penalty and a goal for her exiting this one, and exciting way to sort of close out this episode and, quite frankly, the weekend slate of games. I missed you, buddy. I told you at the top of the episode. I'll tell you again now, Lisa. I couldn't wait to hop back on and talk about some of these games because I know we made our picks, and was excited to sort of break them all down. And thanks everybody for joining us today. And of course, taking the time to vote for us during, nominating us during the People's Choice Podcast Awards. And I'm sure Lisa will keep us updated on the next phase of voting process for this award. So